Hello, welcome to the Darlo Till I Die podcast. It's that time of year again, fresh hope and the usual wave of blind optimism. How long will it last for? Well, joining me to look ahead to the 25-26 season are a couple of familiar voices. First up, from Darlo Fans Radio, and he's promised to stay to the very end. He won't be leaving early. It's Michael Price. How are you, Michael?
Well, I'm never going to be allowed to live that down for one thing, but otherwise fine. Thank you very much for having me on.
And alongside Michael, not to be confused with any former Spurs and Portsmouth midfielders, it's Craig Stoddart. Welcome back, Stod.
Hi, Adam. You all right, mate? Do you think everyone will appreciate that reference? Do you think everyone will get that?
Probably not.
Enough people will. Or did you mean the one about me?
Either or.
Yeah.
Now, fellas, we're obviously here to cast our eye over the upcoming Enterprise National League North. Still getting used to that one. But Darlo were in action yesterday and they continued their fine pre-season form with a 3-1 win over National League side Altrincham. Goals for Will Hatfield, Cedric Main and Elliot Forbes. Now, Craig, we want to be a bit wary of getting carried away with pre-season form, but it has looked quite impressive from Darlo, and this sounds like it might have been the most impressive performance in pre-season. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of friendly matches because people read too much into them. After a defeat, people get carried away and say everything's rubbish, and vice versa. The same thing can happen after a win. But last Saturday against Stockton was very good, the first half. Stockton are a decent team. They almost got promoted last year into Darton's division. And then a week later, which is yesterday, Altrincham, again, really impressive performance. It was a deserved 3-1 win, and on the back of that, well, encouraging is the best thing you can say. It was encouraging. You don't want to say much more than that because it's only pre-season, but it wasn't really played like a pre-season match in a sense. There wasn't a glut of substitutes in the second half. It was played treated as a proper competitive game, I think, and Darton fans can be a bit more optimistic, I think, after that.
Yeah, Michael, you were there too. What did you make of it? And actually, the pitch as well looks like it's in good nick. What did you make of the pitch?
Obviously, back end of last season, in terms of pitch quality, sets a pretty low bar for us to improve on over the summer. But it's definite. It's obvious that there's a lot of work has gone into it. And kudos to the club for the regular updates that they've been posting. I know. Little bits of drone footage here and there. It's all been really well presented and kept everyone up to date. But so I was there for the Sunderland under-21s game a couple of weeks ago. There were still a couple of rough patches then, but yesterday it looked more or less, I think, match ready now, as a lot of the players did really, because as Craig says, it's difficult to know how much to read into pre-season, but what I would say is, that's 5 wins out of 5. Scoring plenty, goals are being spread amongst I think if I've done my sums right, 8 different players have scored in pre-season. We've scored 14 altogether. And you've got to temper your optimism. You've got to be sort of cautious about pre-season because it's all about getting fitness in the legs. It's all about getting minutes in the players, getting everyone up to speed. But there are definite signs of a system. The pitch is allowing us to play the football that I think Steve and Terry want us to play. And even yesterday against a side from a higher league, had that been a competitive fixture, you'd have been hard-pressed to tell who was the National League side, who was the National League North side. So, yeah, really impressive performance yesterday. Reacted really well to Altrincham equalising. They were the better side, sort of start of the second half. Got the equaliser that I think we all knew was coming, but we just carried on after that. We didn't panic. And if we can, take those sorts of performances, take that sort of form into the season, then fingers crossed it can be a good one. But again, with a note of caution because it is only pre-season, and once the real action starts, it can all change.
Yeah, definitely try and keep our feet on the floor. We're going to talk a bit about the new arrivals this season. There has been a few ins and outs. Maybe just touch briefly on who's left the club in pre-season. Jarrett Rivers, Cam Salkeld and Andy Nelson were probably the most notable departures. I think Jarrett's gone to Whitby. I think Solkel to Spennymoor, hasn't he? I'm not sure if Nelson's fixed up with a club yet, but no real surprises there, Craig?
No, not really. It's a shame that Andrew Nelson didn't really pick up where he left off. He didn't get back to his form from 2019. His race was run at Darlo. It was time to move on, really. I have been told he's getting fixed up with a club somewhere. I got told Friday he's signing somewhere. I'm not sure where. I wish him well, really. I'd love to see him at some level scoring 20, 25 goals somewhere. Because he could have been that player for Darlo, but obviously injuries affected him massively, which is a shame. But no, I'm quite enthusiastic about the players we have signed, replacing them. I'm sure we'll go on to that now, but no complaints about the ones who left. You missed off one of the players who left there, Peter Jameson.
Well, we're going to come on to him in a second, yeah. So that seems a good place to start, Craig. So I don't want to call it a saga, Michael, but I think it sort of went on a little bit, didn't it, in pre-season? Will he, won't he? Myself, like a lot of fans, had probably resigned myself to maybe Pete departing, but he is back, albeit on loan, I think, till January. I think the current agreement is he is a Gateshead player and he's also their goalkeeping coach now. If we weren't going to get him back permanently, Michael, then this is the next best thing?
Yeah, that one did drag on for a while because obviously we'd committed a few of our existing players to new contracts. We had new players coming in, but there was that one glaring hole in everyone's sort of first 11 missing. We didn't know whether we had a keeper. And as you say, I think a lot of people had just figured that he was gone and we were waiting for the other club to maybe sign the paperwork before we could announce it. And then all of a sudden we announced that, yes, he has left, but that he's also coming back. Odd set of circumstances to have him back with us as a loan player. So technically a new signing, as you say, but delighted that we do have him, at least until January. I think there's no opportunity for Gateshead to recall him until then at the earliest. So, he is a very experienced player at this level, one of the best goalkeepers in this league, and delighted to still have him in a Darlo shirt for a few more months at least. And hopefully Gateshead can't find an excuse to bring him back in January. We can keep him for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think we'll be keeping our fingers crossed for Gateshead. Obviously, with Alan Armstrong in charge there this season as well. Craig, we've also brought in Josh Scott, who's been playing in Scotland. He was with Queen of the South in the Scottish Championship last season. Left-sided player, I think can play midfield defence. What have you made of him?
Yeah, he looks like an attack-minded player, and I'm assuming he's going to start, which means Scott Barrow. It puts a question mark on Scott Barrow, but I'm assuming that. So is Scott Barrow going to be in the centre of defence? I'm not entirely sure. We'll have to see how the season develops. I'm not sure. I mean, the season will start and it could change very quickly. Who knows what will happen exactly? But I liked what I've seen of him. Came through at Newcastle, so Stephen Watson will have been well aware of him when he left there. He left Newcastle, was it a year or two ago, didn't he, to go up to the Queen of the South? So far from what I've seen of him, he looks like a canny player, and really Steve Watson gets most of his signings right. So really, anyone he brings in, I'm happy to back Steve Watson's judgment on that because he doesn't get much wrong.
I know after the Sunderland under-21 game that we covered with DFR, while I'm here, actually, just a quick shout out to Max and Harvey, who are going to be our new away commentators for the season, who've been warming up with a couple of home games. They did the Altrincham game yesterday. Harvey did the Sunderland under-21s game with me, and he interviewed Scott Barrow afterwards, and we asked him about that, the defensive situation. And Scott did say that there is a possibility, depending on how the squad shakes out and what's needed on the day, that he could be playing at centre-back a fair bit this season. Maybe if Forbes moves forward into defensive mid, depending on what happens with, like, if Tom Platt's injured or something like that. But he said that, he's happy to do that. It gives the squad another option. It gives us a left-sided, left-footed centre-back, provides a bit more balance. So I think he's, obviously he is a left-back, Scott, but he can do a job at centre-back if we need him. So, yeah, as Craig says, Josh played yesterday, put in a really good performance, as did everyone. So, yeah, interesting options for Stephen Terry. But I think, wherever Scott plays, wherever he's asked to play, he'll do a brilliant job, as he always does.
We've also had, the return of Aidan Rutledge and Will McGowan, who are quite well known to Darlington fans, having had loan spells with us. Will's back again on loan, I think, for the entirety of the season this time, and Aidan's joined on a 2-year deal. Craig, that seems a good bit of business.
Yeah, Will McGowan's got a good little footballer. The first time I saw him play was for Blythe against Darlington. When was this? 18 months ago or something like that? It was a game when Matty Cornish scored a screamer. A midweek match. So roughly 18 months ago or so. But Will McGowan was outstanding for Blythe that night. And he was one of those players at the time thinking I wouldn't mind getting him. And Gates had signed him in that summer, so a year ago. And now we've got him. So I like him. In pre-season, I've seen 4 games, and there's been a couple of occasions where he's made it look easy. Now, obviously, the opposition, Newton Aycliffe last week, it's not the best opposition, and McGowan made it look easy. Stockton as well, he was outstanding against them. So he's a very good signing, and Rutledge as well. I don't know if Michael wants to talk about Aidan Rutledge, but I think it feels like a coup to be signing him. I know that Steve Watson wanted him last year. He went to Shields instead, and then Spinor. I think his scoring ratio is roughly 1 in 3, something like that. I think we should be quite excited with signing him.
Yeah, I think spot on again. Obviously, the 2 players on from Gateshead, another couple from, I guess, our old boss now. I think those deals were kind of in the pipeline before Alan got the Gateshead job, so I was sort of expecting him to maybe want to keep hold of them. But I think he was quoted when they joined us as saying, I would have loved to keep them both, but they wanted to go. And Rutledge in particular does feel like a really good signing. I would have happily accepted him coming back on loan, as McGowan has, but for us to be able to get him permanently on a 2-year deal, really great bit of business by the club. Really impressive striker. He'll be a good support for Main and Maskell. I'll be interested to see how we line up and how we utilise those 3 next season, because I know kind of our formation tends to be 1 through the middle and 2 out wide, so it could be that one of them plays through the middle with the other providing support on one side, Main on the other. He's got a couple of goals in pre-season, so he's off the mark there, although I wasn't there to see those. I think that was Newton Aycliffe he got those against. But he's played, the games I have seen him in, a couple of the home pre-season friendlies. He's looked really imposing, really good, came off the bench yesterday. And going back to Will McGowan as well, he's against Sunderland, he was probably the best player on the park. From either side, he just dictated the play, covered every blade of grass. And I mean, again, coming back to the new pitch, there's a lot more grass on it than there used to be. So that's a little more work to do. But he's exactly the kind of player we need. Somebody who's a bit creative, who can sit on the ball, dictate the play, and just unlock a defence with a pass, which maybe we were missing at times last season. And with Rutledge in front of him, allied with Main and Maskell, hopefully we can solve the goal-scoring problem that was a bit of an issue as well.
Yeah, the Rutledge, by the way, we're talking about where he's going to play. I think he will play on the left side of the front 3. That's where I've seen him play in pre-season. And it's also where I was speaking. Harry Dunn, former Darlington scout.
Oh, yeah.
A bit of a North-East non-league legend. Everyone knows him. I was speaking to him last week, and he said he watched him a lot, Rutledge, for Berkeley a couple of years ago when he scored bonkers goal. Yeah. Did he get 40, 50 goals or something stupid?
Something like that, wasn't it? Yeah.
And Harry was saying how much Rutledge is much better on the left hand. He's a big, tall lad. He must be 6'4" or something, 6'3", 6'4". Yeah. But he's better out on that left position, left-hand side, and cutting in because he's got quite quick feet. His goal against Stockton last week was just like that. Quick feet, came cut inside the defender and scored. So I think we'll see him out on the left, Main in the middle, and then Maskell on the right, or Tom Allen. I'm not quite sure who fits in where.
Yeah, well, that was the next question, Craig. Tom Allen, of course, is the forward that we have in our ranks this season. I think he knows this level quite well. He was with South Shields. He might have had a spell with them either last season or the one before. He's had an interrupted pre-season. I think did he play yesterday? I think he might have been involved against Aycliffe as well. Michael, where does he fit into this then?
Good question. I mean, again, it's a nice problem for Stephen Terry to have, because I think at times last season we barely had enough to fill the bench, and now, it is still a small squad. We've got to hope for some better luck with injuries this season. We lost a few players last season to longer term knocks, like Platt, and we lost Main for a bit and so on. But yeah, I mean, it'll be, and they're all very different kind of players as well. Main's very physical, very quick. He'll hold up the ball really well. Maskell and Rutledge, quite tall players, but decent with their feet. So maybe a system where if the ball's out on the right, whoever's on the left will cut inside, maybe try and get on the end of a deep cross, that kind of thing. But they all bring something different to the table. So I can see sort of whichever three fit the opposition best, keep one of them on the bench to change things if they need to, or throw on an extra striker if we're chasing a game. Good problem for Stephen Terry to have, and fingers crossed the goals for column looks a little healthier this season as a result.
Yeah, that was a bit of a problem. That's what Steve Watton's mentioned in the past, hasn't he? We were short of 10 and 15 goals. That was the difference really last year. So hopefully getting Rutledge in and Tom Allen, hopefully we'll sort that out. Tom Allen, by the way, it was last season he was at South Shields and spending away. He had two loan spells. I think I'm right in saying he scored 4 South Shields against Spennymoor, and he scored 4 Spennymoor against South Shields in his 2 loan spells. I mean, absolutely nothing, but a bit of trivia for you there. You can have that.
Yeah, I'll have
that. Friends with that.
He can score against both of them this season if he wants.
Yeah, we should also mention Alfie Myers-Smith, guys, because I don't think anything's been confirmed by the club officially, but Steve Watson pretty much confirmed that he's signed a deal with the club after the Altrincham game. Now, unfortunately, Alfie got injured against Aycliffe, but he had impressed in pre-season, hasn't he?
Yeah, he signed the day before the Aycliffe match. And for some reason, the club didn't announce it. Don't know why. Must have been saving it for some reason. He then got injured against Aycliffe. I think it was late on against Aycliffe. I was at the match. So he's now out for about 2 months. It's a shame for him. Obviously, I think we'll in those areas of the pitch we're covered. So defensively, I think we'll be fine. But it's a pity for him because it was a big move for him. His first move into proper men's football. He was a Borough, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
I know he's got squad number 20, and he was supposed to be announced. I imagine he was supposed to be announced before the Altrincham match, but clearly got the injury on Tuesday. So is he the last of the signings? I think I've said the last of them so far. I wouldn't be surprised if we sign another loan or two, just to boost numbers. Because there's a question mark about Tom Platt, isn't there, in midfield? The injuries he keeps getting. Plantar, how do you pronounce it? Plantar fasciitis, the one runners get it. It's a condition runners get.
Like a flat foot or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on. I think we get it on hard ground. So I think that's the issue he has, Tom Platt, which has led to Griffiths playing midfield, and I think Mike mentioned it earlier. We might see Forbes. I wouldn't be surprised if Forbes starts in midfield at some point.
Well, I was going to ask you about the formation there. I mean, we mentioned Scott Barrow maybe operating in central defence and giving Elliott, because I think Elliott, I don't know if he was brought in as a sort of midfield pivot initially, but he obviously teamed up with Toby Lees quite well in the heart of defence, didn't he? So, yeah, what do you expect to see then, maybe formation-wise, Craig, from Steve this season?
But based on pre-season, it's going to be 4-3-3 because that's what he's been playing in all the matches. It just depends on who fits in where. And as I say, I think there's only a couple of question marks, and that's kind of what we've covered. The Allen or Maskell in midfield, Platt or Griffiths or Forbes or a potential new signing. That's complete guesswork from me on the new signing. There's no guarantee of that, but I can't imagine he wants to play Griffiths in competitive league games in centre midfield. But he did say, I spoke to Steve Watson yesterday, he did say Tom Platt will be fit for the start of the season, and let's hope that he is and plays every match, and he's great. But there has to be a question mark over him because over the last year he's missed more games than he's played. So we'll have to see what happens there.
Hopefully nothing too serious for Tom Platt. Yeah, he's a big presence there in front of the defence. Let's maybe just talk about the fixture list, because we're going to open our league campaign against Chorley. Probably still that 8-0 defeat, still maybe in the memory. Unfortunately, they have been a bit of a bogey side for us. Look, obviously we play everyone twice, don't we? But looking at the start of our season, boys, we've got Chorley, I think there's AFC File in there, you've got Kings Lynn and newly promoted Macclesfield, although not with Robbie Savage in the dugout. It feels like it could have been a little bit kinder, Michael. What do you think?
I mean, it is the cliche, isn't it? We've got to play everyone twice regardless of what order we play them in, but it's, looking at it, it's not the easiest of starts. You mentioned Chorley being a bogey team. I can't stand them, honestly. Like, I just feel like, and not just the 8-0, as much of an aberration as that result was that night. It's just one of those sides we never seem to get anything out of. I remember doing a pre-match, like an intro for Darlo Fans Radio last season, where I was stood next to the goal, and I basically said, if Darlo want to get anything out of this, they've got to do something they haven't done in, I think it was something like 4 games against Chorley, and I basically tapped the goalpost and said, put the ball in this thing. And I think that night we might have drawn 1-1. So,
yeah,
we were getting there. And, obviously we've got new signings bedding in. They'll have new signings bedding in. And maybe the opening day of the season is a good day to get that one out of the way. And if we can get something out of it, brilliant. Sets us up nicely for the tricky next few, because you've got Altrincham away. You know what you're going to get with Altrincham, and they're always tricky. Fylde, who've just come down. Kings Lynn, who were, up there last season, and then Telford and Macclesfield after that. So it's a tricky first 6, but I reckon, fingers crossed with a bit of luck, and if we can get the system locked in and working as well as it has in pre-season, we can pick up a few points there, and we'll be looking at it and going, well, that wasn't so tricky after all.
I was at that Chorley game, the 8-0. I went there with Stuart Armstrong of Darlo Fans Radio fame.
Yeah.
I was with him that night. That was remarkable. One of those you never forget, kind of, where you were, etc. Do you remember the Monkey on goal, by the way? I know we've gone off.
Oh, it was a cracker, that wasn't it?
That was in that game, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that should have gone viral, because that was remarkable.
Yeah.
That wasn't just an own goal. That was an own goal from Darton's throw-in. Chorley didn't touch the ball at all in the build-up. It was Darton's throw-in to Headley, I think. Passed back to Morkey. Morkey looked up, picked his spot, and dinked it beautifully over the goalkeeper. I mean, what a fantastic football.
Would have been goal of the season if it had gone in at the other end.
Yeah. And then, so that was a beauty. And I was also at Chorley when we got beat 4-1 in midweek, and the team bus broke down on the way home. I was on the team bus that night.
That feels appropriate for that.
Yeah. I say it broke down. Something happened with the brakes, got locked onto the wheels, and one of the wheels wasn't turning properly. So we had to. Yeah, that was a nightmare trip home. So yes, but at least it's at home this time. The Chorley home game, first game of the season. It's not ideal having a tough start, but we'll see where we stand after the first month or so. See where we stand. As I say, I'm reasonably optimistic, given the signs we've got. There might be a bit of a settling down period based on the options that Steve Hodgson has. The different players can play in the same positions. We'll have to work out. He'll work it out as he goes along, I imagine, who he wants to play up front with Main and Rutledge in the midfield question mark. But let's see what happens.
Okay, we'll just pause it there for a second, fellas. I caught up with non-league writer Thomas Feahney a few days ago, and he gave me his thoughts on who he thinks the main runners and riders will be in this season's National League North. We're going to hear from Thomas now. Myself, Craig and Mike will be back right after this. Very pleased to be joined by non-league writer Thomas Feahney. Thomas tweets frequently about the latest goings-on in non-league. A particular favourite of mine was earlier in the year when he tweeted that in the current England squad, more players had made their senior debut at Darlington than anywhere else. Thomas joins us now. Welcome, Thomas. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm good to be here, thank you. All going very well and looking forward to the start of another season.
Definitely. So for those maybe who don't follow you, Thomas, how long have you been covering non-league and how did that journey begin for you?
So I've been covering it, say around 10 years. Very much got into it by basically going to games and realizing that at that time there kind of wasn't that much media coverage regarding non-league football. I was working as a radio journalist and I've been trying to get non-league a little bit more, doing my little bit, my very small contribution to it. But it's been fascinating because the last 5 or 6 years, I feel non-league football has really gained momentum. And, obviously the likes of Wrexham and the popularity of certain clubs like that have really got non-league a bit more of a platform, which has been fantastic to see.
Yeah, definitely. I think sort of post-COVID, it's certainly taken off, hasn't it? So we're only a couple of weeks away or so, maybe 2-3 weeks away from the National League North kicking off again. What's your kind of general impression of the league going into the new season? Would you say it feels stronger, weaker, about the same?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? The National League North is my favourite league. I just absolutely adore it because you can guarantee on the last day there'll be a couple of teams trying to get a playoff place. Normally, the bottom of the table is wrapped up probably a week or two before, but there's always something to play for going into that last day. And, obviously last season, Brackley leaving, finally they got the promotion after how many years of messing it up in the playoffs and, how much heartbreak they'd had. It was really good to see them go up with them, just because, you see it as any fan, you get to the playoffs and you miss out. For them to do it how many years in a row, for Scunthorpe then to go up as well. I think that was the one. If Scunthorpe hadn't gone up, I think they would be the team that you'd be looking at and going, right, they are going to be going for it big time this season. So I think in terms of teams trying to get promotion, maybe they'll have just celebrated that Scunthorpe win a little bit more than Chester going up. But I've got to say, immediately that's one team that will be at the right end of the table in Chester. And there's quite a few others as well, because I just think, for me, that the beauty of the National League North, there's always one team that you go past Christmas and they're probably, 14th or 15th, and you think, that's probably their season done. And they just go on a run of form. It always happens, and it'll be fascinating to see which team that is this year, but it is going to be a fantastic league. And again, I think it is going to be a very competitive one as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously this is a Darlington pod. What do you make of where the club's heading into the season? We had the great escape under Steve Watson. What do you make of Darlo?
Yeah, I think, Steve went in and has done an incredible job, because I think it was kind of one of those situations where, you looked at it and thought, for them to stay up, it's got to be, not just a good run of form, it's got to be a really good run of form. And it happened, obviously. And I think, last season, probably one of those where, the eyes maybe now, the foundations are in now, I feel, for actually having a real good go this campaign. I've got to say, I think Aidan is a wonderful signing. I really, really rate him. And I'll be honest, I was really surprised that Gates had actually, agreed to sell him, because I thought he's kind of done it at the National League North level. He's kind of proven himself. And I thought maybe Gateshead would have said, you know what, we've got a player in our ranks, we'll give him a chance. I think that's a wonderful signing. I've got to also pick out Will Hatfield, because I've watched Will for quite a few years. I just think he's a wonderful midfielder, and he's kind of one of those, wherever he goes, he's a fan's favourite because of he gets the ball and he just sprays passes. He's so good at that, and he's running and everything. And then at the back, Scott, I think he's just a wonderful leader, isn't he? He shows such good quality. And again, you look at that, I'm kind of picking out the spine of the team there, and obviously Pete in there, I know it's one of those where maybe he won't be as available due to, his commitments with his new club. But you look there already, that's a really, really strong, solid spine with good experience in the National League North, players that have kind of been there and done it. So I think, again, me and predictions, sometimes I get them drastically wrong, sometimes I'm right, but I do think it will be a good season for Darla.
Okay, good to hear. So you have got form for predictions, Thomas, because you tipped Brackley last season, so you might be on a bit of a roll. Who's maybe your early tips for the title this season?
And I've got to say, I got pelters for that as well. I remember and a lot of people were saying I was wrong, but I mean, first of all, Kidderminster, Adam Murray did a brilliant job at, in the National League South. He's, gone to a club that he knows so well. And I think the big thing is kind of he had a list of targets, and by all accounts, they've pretty much got every player that he wanted. So it's very interesting. Kind of obviously we're talking, and with non-league and obviously the transfer windows not having that much of an impact, there always is the possibility that a team can find a bit of money and an investor comes in and it all changes. But I do think Kidderminster would be the team that I would say will be winning the title. But you then look at kind of teams that might be going for playoffs. AFC Fylde, they will be wanting to go up, won't they? Craig Marn did such an incredible job at Curzon, and kind of I think with Fylde, the big one is Nick Out, and if they can keep him, at this level, it's ridiculous, really. But it's whether they can keep him or not. But yeah, you've then got the likes of I really like Hereford in terms of Paul Caddis. I think he's a really good manager, and I know it's kind of one of those. There's been a couple of clubs that have certainly just had a look at him. Whether or not there's been contact, or not over the past year or so, I'm not sure. But there's certainly been a few eyes on him. So I do think, I'm kind of going to praise every single team, it feels like. But I do such a strong division because there are some really good standout players. Every team you can look at and go, yeah, they could go on some run of form where they are able to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Fyle, you mentioned Nick Horton. I don't know how they've kept hold of him because, he's far too good for the National League North. I guess that they've become a bit of a yo-yo side, AFC Fylde, haven't they? Sort of bouncing between the National League and the National League North. I think for me, they're probably the team to beat this season. Purely, maybe just for Nick Horton alone. Really, he's such a good player. What about like a dark horse then? Thomas, maybe someone that we're not spoken about, but could sort of be in the mix and cause a few surprises this year.
Well, I've got to say one team that I think I really like the way that they've been going about it. Peterborough Sports have really. I think it's a really interesting one because obviously they've got that pitch and they've got they use that to their advantage and rightly so. And I think. Again, if to me, I think Luke Steele's kind of spoken really well as well, kind of the way that they've been doing their business the last couple of weeks. And again, it's kind of one of those where I could probably go and just go, right, every team's got a chance of, doing something this campaign because it is such a good league. But if I was going to pick one, I think Peterborough Sports will surprise a few people because kind of the way that they've been going about it, they've kind of going down the similar road as last year, but with a few changes, and I do like their business.
Yeah, I think they've picked up a player from over here in Australia, actually. I think he's come over from the A-League as well, so that'll be interesting to see how he goes. They have Kane Felix as well, who Darlo fans would remember, actually would like Kane back. I think we're lacking a bit of a direct winger, if you like. So, there should be an interesting one. Just want to ask you, you talk about this resurgence in non-league, Thomas. Look, the National League, they've been pressing for 3 up, 3 down for some time now. Do you think we're any closer to maybe seeing that happen, or what's your thoughts on that?
It's really interesting because I spoke to a Football League manager, kind of very much off the record kind of chat, and he was saying kind of, what is the incentive for League Two clubs to vote for this? And that was kind of when he put it like that, you do have to wonder kind of where that branch is. I think because he said, look, we think it works, but what if we have a bad season and all of a sudden we're that third team that go down? It really is a case of. I think there is a bit more momentum than there was before. There's definitely been a bit more coverage regarding it and the whole football governance bill and things like that. If it can be added to that, then obviously there's a brilliant chance it does take place. But there's definitely got to be some manoeuvres regarding it. And it's, again, trying to convince, people in League Two to vote for something that could directly jeopardise their club. And that's the real sticking point, because I think in terms of fairness, it should be happening. But again, football and fairness, it doesn't go hand in hand.
No, they don't, do they? It's the old turkeys don't vote for Christmas, I think, when you talk about the League Two clubs voting for 3 up, 3 down. But I mean, yeah, you'll see these National League clubs, when they do come up, they usually, if they're not getting promotion the following season, that they're certainly established themselves, as a good League Two club. So maybe one to keep an eye on. I'm not holding my breath personally, but it would be good to see. Just finally, then, Thomas, we talked about your tips for the title. So I think Kidderminster is where your money might be at this point. What about Darlington then? Like, if you had to pick a final league position for Darlo, are we going to make that top 7?
Do you know what? I don't want to get kicked off this, so go on, man. Yeah, honestly, I do think with the spine of the squad and maybe 1 or 2 more additions, I think that a little bit more direct pace in the wing areas, and I think you'd go, yeah, that's it. That is a team that can do it. That can definitely get top 7. So, prediction-wise, I will say Darlington will go into the last game either in the playoffs or having a chance of getting the playoffs. There we go.
There you go. You heard it here first.
I'm sitting on the fence enough there, so if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But there you go.
Well, I think we'd take that, to be honest, Thomas. Yeah, going into that last day with a chance of the playoffs, because, yeah, like you say, such a competitive league. Would you say it's a better standard than the National League South, or what's your take on that?
It's interesting, because I spoke to a player who'd played in the National League South and played in the National League North. He'd kind of gone about half a season in the South, half a season in the North. And he said that the quality, like the top end of the National League North, is just so far above the top end of the National League South. But yet the bottom ends, he was like, they're pretty similar. So that's kind of, I'll take their words on it rather than my own. But, I think when you look at the National League South, you've got some huge clubs. Torquay United, again, staying in the National League South, it was a travesty for that club. It's kind of a really interesting league as well. But for me, I do think, obviously I'm from up north anyway, but I do think such a fascinating league, and it is genuinely my favourite league, kind of just to go to games as a neutral and just kind of watch and enjoy.
Fantastic. All right, Thomas. Well, thank you for joining us on the podcast. Maybe we'll try and check in with you further down the season, see how those predictions are coming along. But yeah, for now, Thomas, thanks for your company. Thanks for joining us on Darlo Till I Die.
No worries at all, mate.
Big thanks to Thomas there. So Thomas has given us his predictions for the National League North, and he's tipping Kidderminster Harriers to be top of the pile this season. Well, fellas, it's your turn now. I'm going to come to you first, Michael. Who is your tip for the title this season?
Oh, I'm looking forward to hearing this again in April. But, Chester are always up there. They've done really well. They've run a similar budget booster to the one that we run every summer, which, again, Darlington fans, hats off to you. Fantastic effort from us. We are the envy of many clubs, and we are copied by several now, but nobody does it better than the originals. I will say that. But I could see Chester being up there. Fylde, of course, have come down. I could see them going straight back up. I'd love to say it's us at the top of the table come the end of April, but we shall see.
Okay, so you get, just to confirm there, Michael, was that Chester?
I'm torn between. I'm going to go with Chester. Yeah.
All right, we'll lock in Chester then. And what about a dark horse, Michael? Maybe someone who's not being hotly tipped, but you think might spring a surprise?
Another one that's always in and around, and possibly a really dark. I know they've lost Robbie Savage to, I think it's Forest Green now, but especially at this level, momentum can count for a lot. And we'll see how they recover from the loss of Robbie Savage. But I'm going to go for Chorley or Macclesfield.
Okay.
Maybe, if not the title, then maybe the playoffs. But
I think Robbie has taken a few of those Macclesfield players with him to Forest Green. Yeah, not too sure on the business they've done, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they do fare this season. I'll come to you. Oh, I'm sorry, Michael. Just before I go to Craig, how about Darlington then? I want a final league position for Darlo this season.
Like a precise position?
A precise position, yeah.
Go on then. Well, I think with a bit of better luck last season with injuries, a few more goals, we would have been right up there in the playoffs, top 7. We've added to the squad this season. I think we've improved on it. I believe we'll solve the goal scoring problems. And if we can keep that treatment room a little quieter this season, I can see us actually getting into the playoffs this time. We weren't far off last season, so I'm going to say we'll finish in the playoffs. I am going to put us 5th.
5th. That is 5th from Michael Price.
Can't wait to hear this again in April.
Yep. We'll be playing this back at the end of April. Craig, I'll come to you then. So let's start with who's going to be the title winners.
Yeah, well, I've got nothing original to add there, really. It's going to be a team like File or Kidderminster. Did Chester get beat in the playoff final, didn't they? By
Scunthorpe,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, so it's one of them, isn't it? And if I have to say a name, it's probably Filed. With Nick Horton scoring. We've seen it all before. So, if you have to be pushing a name, say Filed. For a wild card, I would agree with Mike about Macclesfield. I know I don't really class as a wild card or not because of the attendances and therefore the financial power they've got. I don't know if they could be classed as a wild card, but they have just been promoted from the division below and have that momentum, which we saw that when we came in this division, whenever that was, 2016. We had momentum, and we finished in the playoffs in that first season. Well, we kind of finished in the playoffs and we got kicked out. So Macclesfield.
Let's not go there.
Yeah, Macclesfield have the momentum. They've got the money. So I think they've got a chance. They've got a chance to be up there. Did you see on Twitter the other day Anthony Johnson, the Radcliffe joint manager? He put on Twitter his tips, and his tip for the top was Buxton.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm not. Maybe want to watch. Maybe that's the wild card. Maybe they're outside contender for the title. I don't know. But that's what he said.
Okay. So, and then what about Darlington then, Craig? A final league position.
When 18 months ago or so, when Steve Watson came in, we finished that season 16th. You know, when we were going down, thanks to Josh Gowling.
Yeah.
Being utterly appalling. And he should never have been appointed. And it was abysmal from start to finish. And the whole business doesn't reflect well on anyone. We finished 16th.
Get off the fence, mate.
Yeah, the whole thing was a sham embarrassment. Anyway, we finished 16th that season, somehow. And then we climbed 5 places higher last season. We finished 11th. So to do the same again, it would be a big jump to do another 5 places to get us up to from 11th up to up into the playoffs. So I'll say 7th. We'll jump another 4 places, do it that way, and just scrape into the playoffs. That'd be nice. So I'll say 7th. All
right, 7th it is from Craig. I'm also going to agree with Craig. I'm going to go AFC Foul. And just like you, Craig, the Nick Horton factor. I mean, he could comfortably play, 2, if not 3 levels above the National League North. I mean, he must have a great deal with File, I guess, to still be there.
He's the same as him and Nick Horton and Glenn Taylor are 2 players who've been wasting their time in non-league football. I mean, I say wasting, but clearly Glenn Taylor has a good job to teach you. And he didn't want to walk away from that. But based on pure football ability, he could have been playing in the Football League. And but maybe he's a sensible one because he's made sure he's kept his job as a teacher. And he has a very well-paid Saturday job, thanks to Uncle Brad. And so he's done the best of both worlds, hasn't he, really? So Glenn Taylor's been banging the goals in, so has Nick Horton. And that's why you can't look past File. For me, you can't look past File.
Yeah, I think File for me, a bit of the West Brom and non-league, aren't they? Just bouncing between the National League and National League North. But yeah, my dark horse, look, I'm going to say South Shields. They're one that interests me this season with Ian Watson in there. And obviously Caden Kelly and Dan Dodds, who Darlo fans know quite well. If they can get a tune out of them two, I'll be interested to see what Shields do this season. And of course, talking to strikers, Paul Blackett still there, guarantee you goals. As for Darlo, yeah, look, we've certainly got to improve on 11th. I'm going to say 8th, just because I'm not very good at tipping and hope I'm wrong. So I'll say 8th for Darlington. But yeah, they're my tips for what it's worth. I think we're going to finish as customary with a quiz now. So, look, for this episode, it's just going to be Darlo general knowledge. There'll be 3 questions each. I do have a tiebreak ready if needed. So I do want to say as well, if any listeners have got any Darlo trivia that they want to send my way, I'll be more than grateful. Michael, you gave me a good one a few weeks back, didn't you, with the old Stevie Mardenborough in the movies there? That was a good one.
Did you get many right answers to that in the end?
I had a couple, a couple of people got it, yeah.
I will say, if I'm up against Craig in a general knowledge quiz about Darlo, I don't think you're going to need a tiebreaker, but we'll see how it goes.
You might be up against it.
The Steve Mardenborough, I take it that was the Jan Mardenborough link, was it?
Yes, it was, yes.
I've seen the film. It was where Steve Mardenborough...
Oh, have you seen it? Right.
Yeah. Steve Mardenborough is in the film, if you like, an actor plays him.
That was the question, because he's been nominated for an Academy Award, so the question was what Academy? What was it in the end? Who's the only Academy nominated award, Academy Award nominated actor to play a Darlo player in a movie? Yeah.
You've seen the movie, Craig, right? Did he mention Darlo in it? Does he say, he's lived Darlington?
Well, I remember there's a headshot is used at one point, like a photograph of Steve Mardenborough in his playing days, and I'm certain it's when he was at Colchester.
Right.
It's a bit frustrating because in his career he bounced around various clubs, Steve Mardenborough, but his longest spell was at Darlington. And that's where he scored most of his goals and made most of his appearances was at Darlington. But then it's a picture of him playing at Colchester. It was in the movie, which is outrageous.
What a shame.
So anyway, that was a bit of a shame.
Right.
Good film.
Well, a bit of a film review as well there from Craig. There'll be no questions about Steve Mardenborough today, boys. But like I said, it'll be 3 questions each. Craig, I'm going to start with you. Your first question is: how many clubs did Darlington complete a league double over last season? That is, of course, beat both home and away. So the answer will be between 0 and 23. I can give you a clue. It's neither of them two.
I keep a record of this, and I don't have it right in front of me, which means I can't. But I'm not certain. It's something. Oh Christ! I haven't looked at this recently. I think it's going to be. I'm going to guess it's 3. I'm going to say 3.
Final answer 3.
It's going to be 3 or 4, isn't it? I'll say 3.
He's gone 3. Okay, Michael, do you know the answer?
I don't. And if I was going to take a semi-educated guess, I would have gone for maybe 4.
Okay.
But I couldn't necessarily name them off the top of my head. Okay,
so I very hastily researched this before, but I've got the answer at 4, Craig. I'll tell you, I've got Farsley. Does that sound right? Yeah, Ratcliffe Borough, Hereford and Needham Market were the 4 clubs we completed a league double. We did beat Farsley home and away, didn't we?
Much happier to do the double over a relegated club than have the double done over us. Looking at you, Bishop Stortford.
Yeah. Oh, yes. God.
And you again, Josh Gowling.
Oh, God. Second Josh Gowling reference in an episode. Dear me. Right, he's banned now. That word's banned. All right, well, Craig, there you are. Michael, you've got an opportunity here to take the lead. Your question, Michael, is Darlington won the Northern League back in 2013. Of that 46-game season, how many games did they win?
I think it was 40.
Final answer?
I'm not overly convinced I should change it, so I'm going to stick to 40, yes.
It's a good job you did. 40 is the correct answer. You take the lead, Michael, 1-0.
Drew 2, lost 4?
I think that's right, yes. And I think a couple of them defeat. Was it back-to-back defeats did we have at one stage as well?
Aycliffe and Team Northumbria.
That's right,
I think we won like the first 6 or 7 in a row and then we lost 2 back-to-back.
Yeah, lost it.
And then we signed. Did we sign? I think we signed Terry Galbraith right after the Aycliffe game. He might have been playing for them at the time. I can't remember.
His debut was the Aycliffe away game. Terry Galbraith. Yeah. When we lost the Aycliffe.
Okay. Well, here we are. Question number 2. So back to you, Craig. Darlington reached the playoff final back in 1996, of course, losing 1-0 to Plymouth Argyle. Your question, Craig, is, can you name the 3 Darlington substitutes that day, please?
Matt Carmichael, because he came on for Steve Gaughan. Paul Matheson.
Yes.
It was an unused sub. Carmichael, Matheson. We only used 1 sub, didn't we? I'm pretty sure we had a 3rd sub, did we? Was it a goalkeeper? I might struggle for the 3rd sub here. This is 3 answers in one. Michael and I think give 1 answer there for his question. Yeah. I've got to go 3 for the price of 1 here.
And I'll spare you coming to me. I couldn't name the 3rd one. I couldn't name any of them on this one.
Give us a... Is it...
So you've got 2. You've got Matt Carmichael. You've got Paul Matheson.
Yeah.
But there's 1 more.
Phil Brumwell played. Give us a position. Can you give us a position?
All right, I'll tell you, it was not a goalkeeper.
I think Bannister started, obviously. He must have been. Matheson was a winger. Carmichael was the forward, wasn't he? Who the hell would it have been? No, I can't think.
We're passing.
Yeah.
Wow. Could be a big upset here. All right. I can tell you, Craig, it was Gary Twynham.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Didn't come on though, did he?
Didn't come on. You know, I looked at I was looking at the Wikipedia page. Plymouth didn't make a change as well. No. Neil Warnock, wasn't it? In charge there. Yeah, I think Carmichael come on with about 5 minutes to go.
Same as at Euro 96, England v Germany semi-final. Terry Venables didn't make a substitution.
Just like that.
An extra time and didn't make a single substitution. And you have people on the bench like Robbie Fowler and Les Ferdinand.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh well. Okay, so Michael, you could win it here if you get this next one. So your question is: 4 years later, Darlington would reach another playoff final at Wembley. Back in 2000, where they again lost by a single goal to Peterborough United this time. I want you to name the subs that day. Now, Michael, there were 5 by the time this game arrived. You only have to name 3 of them, though.
Truth is, at this point, I hadn't started following Darlo was anywhere near as closely as I do now. So I struggle a lot with kind of players from that era. So I'm going to have to be honest. I don't actually think I could name any of them.
No.
Over to Craig, if he wants
to
try.
Go on then, Craig.
I know Paul Holsgrove was one because he came on.
He was, yep.
And I think Phil Brumwell was on the bench but didn't come on.
He was, yes. He didn't get on that time, Phil. He did play in 96.
Glenn Naylor?
Yes. So we've got Holsgrove, Phil Brumwell, Glenn Naylor, 2 more.
I have a feeling Jesper was Jesper on the bench? Jesper Highoff?
I would have said him, but according to this, no.
He wasn't involved, was he? So, what was said? Naylor, Highoff. What else was around it? Didn't you say did you want 3 from Mike? You wanted 3, didn't you? 3.
I wanted 3, yeah.
But you asked we want 5 from me.
You don't get any points for this, Craig. This is this is just a chance to show off a little bit. But you've got 3 of those subs. There's a goalkeeper and a striker that you haven't named, and it wasn't Jesper Hjorth.
Mark Samways.
Samways is a keeper, yeah. Mark Samways.
Yeah, striker. Obviously not Roberts. Not Dawn. Who the hell was? Oh, Norgan.
Lee Norgan. Yeah.
Yeah. Duffield and Gabriel started. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Norgan might have come on towards the end as well. But yeah, Lee Norgan, that's it. So look, sorry, Craig, no points for that. So it's still Michael with a 1-0 lead going into the last round. I'm back to you, Craig, aren't I? Yeah. So your question, Craig, is who scored more goals for Darlington, Graham Armstrong or Nathan Cartman?
Good question, Mark. Good question. The fact you're asking it tells me that there's something. There must be 1 or 2 goals in it. There must be a small margin in there. Both scored in that Bamber Bridge game, didn't they? The Bamber Bridge playoff final. Don't know. See, whichever one I say, the first question.
I would have a guess at least, yeah.
Yeah, whichever one I say, I'll get wrong. Michael will say the other one, and he'll get it wrong.
Yeah.
It's a 50-50 shot. I must admit, I wouldn't know which one to go for here. So, like you say, they must be quite close.
It must be close, mustn't it? Right, I'll say Cartman.
Nathan Cartman, you're saying?
Yeah.
You are incorrect.
Oh, jeez.
So Graham Armstrong,
Is it Graham Armstrong, then?
95 appearances, 39 goals for Graham Armstrong. Nathan Cartman, 120 appearances, 36 goals. I've lifted this off the Darlo Stats website, so if it's wrong, we can blame Kev. But according to Darlo Stats, Graham Armstrong, 39 goals. So there you go.
Sorry, what was Cartman? Sorry, I missed that.
36. So it was close, Craig. Yeah, just 3 goals between them. Yeah.
One Whitby hat trick in it.
So incredible scenes. Craig Stoddart, not a single question correct.
Really? Well, I got a playoff final substitute.
Yeah, but that wasn't your question. Yeah.
It's an outrage.
Well,
if
Michael,
I get this right, you can give him the point for that because I'll still win.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, Michael, your question is, again, same as Craig, but who scored more goals for Darlington? Was it Ian Clark or Neil Wainwright?
Go Wainwright, but again, I'm not overly sold either way on that, so I'm just kind of taking a 50-50 shot. I'll go Neil Wainwright.
Would you have gone that, Craig, as well?
I'd say Wainwright, yeah.
Yeah, and you'd both be right. Neil Wainwright, 292 appearances, 30 goals. Ian Clark, 134 appearances, 27 goals. Again, just 3 goals between them. Clarkey obviously did play quite a number of games up front, didn't he, with Barry Conlon?
I mean, that's what I was thinking, because Wainwright played a lot more games than Clark did, so just kind of went with that, really. But
do I get a bonus point for saying that I was at the game when we got beat 7-1 at Scunthorpe and Ian Clark scored in that game?
Was that the Paul Alcock game, wasn't it? Was that the
Alcock one? Yeah, the 2 red cards for Ford and Barry Conlon.
That's right. Yeah,
I think it was a penalty. I'm sure it was a penalty Ian Clark scored. I was there that day, so I think I'll get a bonus point for that.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll give you. See how you go with it. This would have been the tiebreaker, boys, and I was going to ask you the attendance at Wembley in 1996 for that Darlington Plymouth playoff final. What would have been your guess?
I think that was something. It's something like it's like 4-3, 4-3-0 or something like that. Isn't it 4-3, 4-3-4 maybe something like that?
It's 43,431.
I'm not far off here, am I?
Not far off at all. I'm sure you were going to say that as well, Michael, weren't you? That what you were going to say.
I've made a big ballparked about 40,000. I would never have gone that precise or been that close.
Just to reiterate for the listeners, right? That's an attendance figure I've been asked about from 29 years ago, and I'm what 10 off or something.
Yeah, no, 1 off, weren't you? 1 off.
Pat on the back for me. Well done, Craig.
All right, okay, all right. Yeah. The people's champion. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
I'll allow it.
All right, but. The record book will show Michael Price 2, Craig Stoddart 0. Little asterisk next to it, yeah. All right. Thank you, guys. We've rattled through that, haven't we? That's been fantastic. I do want to say, anyone listening, if you want to be on the pod in the upcoming season, do get in touch. I know someone did get in touch a while back. I think it was through Facebook. I do apologise. I've lost your details. So if that's you and you're listening, do get back in touch. Or again, if anyone who fancies getting on the pod, get in touch. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc. I guess all it leaves me to do is to say thank you to my guests today, Craig and Michael.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
And thank you to you, listener, for downloading this episode. And I'm sure we'll be back during the season, hopefully following Darlo all the way through to the top 7, and who knows, maybe beyond. You never know. You can live in hope. Fingers crossed it's going to be a good season. The signs do seem to be good, but we'll be back next month. Thank you.